Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Diaspora Igbo King and Xenophobia. The March 2026 installation of someone Ezuko as Eze Ndigbo in East London, South Africa, triggered protests that escalated into violence. Vehicles were touched, shops and buildings damaged or looted. These are mostly foreign owned, including Nigeria, Somalia, and Ethiopian businesses. Injuries were also recorded. South African leaders and groups like Action XA viewed the public confrontation as unauthorized challenge to the sovereignty and customary law of the host community. Remember, people, last year in 2025, similar tension occurred in Ghana, where Chinedu Ihenetu was installed as Eze Ndigbo Ghana, with protests citing crime, economic dominance, fear of parallel authority. And however, the protests in South Africa began over the title, but quickly became xenophobic attacks on immigrants, property, and people. A recurring pattern in South Africa, driven by unemployment, inequality, crime, scapegoating, and competition in businesses. Migrant community everywhere form associations, celebrate culture, and appoint internal leaders. This is normal and often beneficial. Igbo enterprise, resilience, and tight-knit networks have produced such notable success stories in trade and business. However, publicly installing and parading a king or Igwe on foreign soil, especially with language and symbolism suggesting parallel authority or territorial claims, can be read as provocative and disrespectful in society with strong traditional institutions and existing anti-foreigner resentment. Nigeria's traditional rulers 2025 directive was a recognition of all this and ignoring cultural boundaries abroad invites conflicts. Well, perception, matters in this case. What feels like innocent cultural preservation, especially by the Igbos in South Africa, can signal non-integration or subtle dominance to the host community. Cultural preservation is a right, but it is not an excuse for symbolism that invites backlash. Xenophobia is wrong and self-defeating. Yet, it flourishes where integration feels one-sided or where economic competition messes with cultural friction. South Africa is a typical example of that. The white and black problem that they have over there. Well, sustainable coexistence requires from immigrants to adapt without erasing identity and responsibility from hosts to protect without punishing success. Now, here's a lesson for everyone, including my Igbo community and other diaspora and their host nations. Host nations must enforce rule of law, protect all residents equally, and address root economic frustration. Instead of tolerating mob violence, the Eze Ndigbo controversies illustrates how good intention, poor optics, and underlying grievances can collide. This is a lesson for every group in diaspora. Success, everybody knows, breeds both admiration and envy, framing every pushback as Igbophobia by my people, the Igbos. can risk legitimate integration concerns into an unhelpful victim narrative. So, my people in diaspora, you use onyendu that the Sabi traditional rulers have recommended.